So we'll see what Ty Lue can do, man, because he's not. It's easier when you have a younger team and you can kind of say this is the way it needs to be ran. This is the way we want to do it. Except when you got two top 75 guys who are going to say, "Hey, nah, I've done this for 15 years. I'm not doing that." So
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, in segment one, we will discuss NBA topics including coaching, off-season professional development. In segment two, we'll talk WNBA, including the continued rise of the Indiana Fever. And in segment three, men's and women's college basketball. UConn may be the next domino to fall with conference realignment and possibly going to the Big 12, and the women's tournament finally may give them a piece of the pie. But first, the importance of professional development. Ty Lue, Olympics professional development. There was an article in ESPN. Let's give you a little background, fans. Ty Lue is the head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers have never gotten over the hump. My best Clippers memory, dating myself, is a Robin Harris bit about possibly getting a triple-double being at a Clippers game instead of a Lakers, because you can always get seats at the Clippers. Ty Lue was an assistant coach on the Olympic team when he wasn't doing work for Team USA. He was learning for some of the best coaches. And over the past 2 years, took a lot of notes from Steve Kerr, took a lot of notes from Mark Few, and that's very awesome, actually, that he's taken the time to do that as the Clippers get ready for the 2024-2025 season. They lost Paul George, and they have to recalibrate. Kawhi Leonard, let's just say he hasn't been available for a full season. And you also have James Harden. So we talk a little bit about having an old head on the bench. And for the Clippers, the old head on the bench is going to be Jeff Van Gundy. In non-season, Van Gundy coached the Knicks, coached the Rockets. He is a coach's coach. And now Ty Lue has access to him throughout the entire season in terms of planning and prep. Will, as the former player, what do you think when you hear about Ty Lue and his professional development this summer?
well, I think it's good that he was around his contemporaries, and that'll kind of invigorate yourself in terms of like your professional your professional life. Happens when people go to conferences, happens when people have meetings of like minds. So it's definitely that he feels good that he's rejuvenated. I don't know if the roster is rejuvenated enough. And again, it's going to be a long season. So you're good in October, but then when you get through like January, February, March, it starts to become a thing that you've already done. He's won before. He's coached amazing players, some of the best players that have played in the game. I think they'll get the best of him, but again, it's not him. I think it's the roster because when you still have James Harden, when you still got part-time Kawhi Leonard, you can only go so far. So if he's looking again, he may not win, but he may have one of those years where he has one of the best coaching seasons that he's had in terms of X and O preparation, things like that. So that could do something for a man, especially as we get older, we look for validation in different ways. So talk
So
to
I'm
him, good
glad you
luck, but
mentioned the roster because they did sign Kevin Porter Jr., who, if you remember, last played for the Houston Rockets before he was charged with assault and strangulation of a former girlfriend a year ago at this time. He is
mhm.
also looking to have a full camp with James Harden, and he's looking to have a full camp with Kawhi. Remember, Kawhi did not play in the Olympics. So maybe the roster will be better. Any thoughts on Kevin Porter Jr.? Is that a signing you would do? Are you the reclamation project coach? What say you?
It's any guy like that is he's a risk, but the best thing you do is put him around vets, put him around guys who've done it before, other brothers too, older brothers, tell them how to move, how to operate, and they can avoid that. If you remember, he wasn't exactly on the best team, his coach was an adulterer, and his team was full of a bunch of young guys, so he wasn't getting the best, stuff, information from him. So hopefully he'll mature. I think he's a good player. He can help out, keep him fun, keep him light. But we'll see what happens. Good signing.
All right. In terms of my thoughts on professional development, it's very important. My mentor, Hank Galata, said it was my charge every summer to bring back a new drill, a new play, a new something. And I traveled to go to many a basketball clinic. Sometimes as far as Las Vegas, they had the best basketball clinic in the world. There was this Wildwood basketball clinic that happened. And in the DC area, I think it's coming up soon, the DC basketball clinic. So it's really important. It's also important not to just grab drills, but to make sure that they're aligned with what you do. I worked with Tom Dickman at Hood College, another Hall of Fame coach, and he was very meticulous in making sure all of the drills aligned and so forth. Will played for me, and one of the things that I did as a coach was let players know where things came from. One of our best players we used a set that was pretty much Allen Iverson's offense because we had a guy we wanted to get the ball to a lot. So we're running pro sets, and we're saying we're running pro sets. And I think Will once said, "Man, he's really open." So philosophy alignment's important. I think having Jeff Van Gundy there and Ty Lue played for his brother and had a lot of interactions with the Van Gundy family. So I think this is good. But as Will said, that roster's got some challenges, and the West is a murderer's row in terms of talent that keeps getting better. Any final thoughts, Will, before we move to the next segment, sir?
Oh yeah, it'll be difficult. And again, when you're coaching all stars, not all stars, but legends, when you're coaching top 75 guys, you have to have a special kind of flair that you can kind of put out to them to keep them in tune. So we'll see what Ty Lue can do, man, because he's not. It's easier when you have a younger team and you can kind of say this is the way it needs to be ran. This is the way we want to do it. Except when you got two top 75 guys who are going to say, "Hey, nah, I've done this for 15 years. I'm not doing that." So that's where the challenges will come. But we'll see what happens. They have a chance to at least make the playoffs, but the rest is up to them.
All right. So fans, when we get back in segment 2, WNBA news and notes and the Indiana Fever are on fire. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2, WNBA news and notes. Power rankings, New York is number 1. They've clinched a playoff berth. Connecticut's number 2. They've clinched a playoff berth. Minnesota's number 3. They've clinched a playoff berth. Vegas is 4. Seattle's 5. Indiana 6. Phoenix is 7. Chicago 8. And then lottery, folks. Atlanta, Washington, Dallas, and LA. Who's hot? New York, Minnesota, and Indiana. Who's not? Chicago and LA. Will, September 19th, the regular season ends. Before we jump into the Indiana Fever, any thoughts on teams we should watch going into the postseason?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Minnesota has always been exciting. Seattle has been always been exciting. I've been watching. Um, it'll be interesting with Chicago. You know, they're pretty young roster, so you can kind of be kind of scared because I've never been there before, so I have nothing to be scared of. Again, it's great in the league that Caitlin Clark's in the playoffs. I mean, that's essentially what they were trying to do. Still waiting for the Vegas Aces to take that next step. I think they may be holding off to the playoff run. Good teams usually do that. Mahomes does it. Lakers did it. They kind of hold off. So yeah, there's a lot of good teams that are going to be very, very interesting in the playoffs. But I think of all of them, it's definitely the Aces. They got to turn it up. They're playing for a legendary status. So we'll see how they turn it on.
All right. So Indiana, the last time the franchise was 500 or better in the month of August was 2016. Okay. Indiana's been one of the hottest teams in the league. And we had mentioned, hey, that Olympic break is real. Caitlin had been playing. She got some rest, some relaxation, and now young legs are running free. Um, she is the fifth player in WNBA history with 30 and 10 in the game and the third to achieve that stat line in regulation. So she's playing well. I tell you who's not playing well, though. Chicago has lost 5 straight as of this taping and 6 out of their last 7 in the second half of the season. There's 3 weeks left. A lot can happen. But do you think Chicago could turn it around? And do you think Indiana could keep this going?
I think Indiana can. I think Caitlin Clark is locked in. I think she's ready to go. You don't really hear about her as much on her social accounts as much as Angel Reese. Not that it's bothering her or anything. Um, it just seems that she's a little bit more focused on basketball than everybody. Them, you know what I'm saying? Angel Reese, great talent. Talking about a podcast that she has coming out. Has a video of people hating on her. Things like that. Putting out videos of her dating. I think she's dating like a Piston, a player. But either way, these are all things that you're doing outside of work. And we see that Caitlin Clark is just kind of locked in, and we're seeing that the fruits of that labor in the Indiana franchise. I don't think it's, again, I think Chicago is too good to lose the A seed. I think they're going to pick it up. They just kind of have to focus, and this is the time. And when Angel Reese was focused, she was doing very well. When she wasn't getting the sponsorships, was she getting all that stuff? She was focusing, she was killing, she was doing very well. Now she's getting more stuff. Seems like she's not focusing on basketball. Get back to basketball and make a push in the playoffs.
Yeah, and in terms of Angel Reese, get the bag, do whatever you want, but you're doing a lot, and boring wins more than it loses. I did want to mention people are talking about the double streak. So I started watching Chicago a little more. She's missing a lot of shots. She probably shouldn't have as many rebounds. And it reminds me, Will, of Follering's junior year to senior year transition. I told him he was shooting too many free throws because he wasn't strong enough to go through contact. And he worked on his weights and getting stronger. In his senior year, he shot fewer free throws because they were and ones instead of two shot fouls because he could play through contact. She's missing a lot of bunnies. So at some point, I don't have 0.5 here, but I'd like to see her field goal percentage. And is it 55 or 60%? That's one of the things that I would look at. So,
but remember, she didn't really get an off season, which usually she would have been able to work on getting stronger. So she kind of went into the league that she is. So she's as strong as she is now. Everybody's as strong as her. So yeah, a lot of things that she was making in college are not making. So I expect, this offseason, she's gonna. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do for a basketball player, like working out, not the ball, but the weights, and that's gonna take a lot of dedication and focus for her to really improve her body to be able to fall, like you said, fight through those. Those should be a lot of those things. Coach should have been and ones, easy buckets. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you and me could probably. I mean, maybe one or two, but then we getting up there, like one's getting up. So
using again a basketball analogy, my center that was on Will's team, we ran no plays for him, and he averaged a double-double because we're going to miss shots, and he's going to have a chance to put the shot in, and he's going to have a chance to hit a free throw. So you could get a double-double if you know where people are shooting and you're aggressively going and it's a pogo stick kind of thing. But again, no hate, but I thought a lot was made of the double-double streak, so I wanted to see what type of double-doubles they were, and a lot of it shouldn't be second, third, fourth opportunity. It should be rebound, score, foul, beat your chest, whatever,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
So again, in segment 3, we'll talk UConn possibly going to the Big 12, as well as the women's game finally getting a piece of the pie. Right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful anecdotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3, UConn and the Big 12. So, Will, throughout the history of the OCP, we have talked ad nauseum about you needing a scorecard to know where teams are. I mean, that's why I've got 3 teams in the American on my football show, because one team used to be somewhere and now they're in this conference. And football is destroying basketball, and football doesn't care. The Big 12 is in talks with UConn about joining a league in all sports. This is not their first flirtation. Now, in terms of just stability, to have the Big 12 in a larger media market like Connecticut and New York, that does make sense. That basketball conference would be something. UConn football in the past has been to a bowl game or two. Then you also have the women's side of it. UConn's a dominant program, but what do you think? Should they continue to look at the Big 12 or keep it as it is? What say you?
You know, it's funny. I think we had that conversation about how basketball would actually stop the change of all the conferences and things like that. But they said, "Oh no, we're just going to take the teams that we want now." We're just like, we ain't taking everybody. No, we ain't taking everybody. So it's unfortunate to see, because I'm going to imagine that UConn is definitely going to go to the Big 12. And as well, what's going to happen with these other teams? I mean, you have, the Seton Hall of the world and St. John's, baby. Like, where are you going to go? Probably to the ACC or the Big Ten. So these conferences are going to get moved around. I think they all knew it was going to happen. I think the only reason, and this honestly kind of shows teams like Duke. Nobody cares about Duke football, but if you take Duke football, you're getting Duke basketball. So they know they're getting the money. They know where the money is. So, they'll parse off, they'll look at the fans, they'll look at the money, they'll say who makes the most and how good are their fans and how do they travel, and they'll parse them out. And, again, like it's going to be 5 or 4 conferences, maybe 3.
So Will, I got to ask though, because we grew up with this. They already destroyed the Big East and they did they broke it down.
Yeah.
And then the Big East built back up. I mean, I remember Big East football.
Yeah, Miami. Yeah.
And then I think about Georgetown. Georgetown's a Division III athletic program with a really good basketball team. Who taking Georgetown? Who? So what's going to happen the Georgetown of all of these things take place? We can't answer that now, but these are the things I think about as football just bulldozes everything. And it's like, we can't have nothing.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Now, on the women's side, pay up. Women's basketball team that reaches the Final Four could bring in roughly $1.26 million over the next 3 years in financial performance awards. So last week, the NCAA sent a note to the basketball committees and the conference commissioners about a pay structure that was outlined. There'll be $15 million awarded to teams in the first year, which is 26% of the media rights. The number will continue to grow each year. It's just about time. The last year, and I think I said it on the air, was the first year I'm sitting in Phoenix at the Final Four saying, I wish I was in Cleveland, because it just seemed like that place was going crazy. And I got NC State, Purdue, and UConn, and I can't even remember the fourth team. Was it Alabama? I don't know.
Yeah, one.
Any thoughts about the women finally getting, their financial due?
Whoever made that is making a hell of a deal. $1.26 million over 3 years. I mean, I wonder how much money they've made the last 20 years over the women's tournament and selling T-shirts and commercials and ads and things like that. Well, it's good to see that they're getting some sort of money. But once they see the money, they're going to want more, and there's going to be plenty of money. It's just about the percentage and how they're going to be split and things like that. But it's great that they're getting paid. I wondered to myself, and I didn't mean to text the group chat, but are they going to start doing something with baseball? Is there someone? Right now there's no money right now. Is there any sort of chance where it's gonna hey, well, I gotta put myself out because there's a ton of money that, hey, if people are watching TV, I gotta get some of that. Is baseball gonna follow, or is baseball just gonna say, hey, we're trying tradition, follows, catch us in the summer?
I don't know, because softball is cashing in. So baseball's got to cash in. I believe their ratings were very good too. So it's just interesting because, nobody cares about UConn baseball. So,
right.
They're going
Shout
to
Harold,
Big 12.
Shout out our man, Harold.
Brantley went to UConn?
UConn baseball, yeah.
Okay. That's how old we are, because we dusted that off. Actually, I taught him in elementary school. All right. So with that, on behalf of our Captain for Life, Will Cotton, Random References, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.